So these are very simple services, but there are many number of portals which have been developed. And these portals generate a humongous quantum of data. And these portals are dedicated to different aspects. For example, let me tell you about the risks associated with the climate. And once we have a risk associated with the climate, naturally we need to, from the farmer's income perspective, have a crop insurance and a livestock insurance. So today we have a more comprehensive crop insurance scheme called Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. The experience with crop insurance began way back in 1971. It has taken us almost 45 to 50 years to develop a more comprehensive and a more responsive crop insurance scheme, and we are still reworking on those things. That means the continuous change that is required based on experience. Now, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, I would like you to illustrate this to show how we need to develop a portal and an application and bring everybody on platform. As you know, PMFBY or crop insurance has got three different actors. First, it is the farmers for whom we are developing this crop insurance scheme. Since it's a market-led insurance scheme, we have the insurance agencies who come from the private sector, the government sector. So they are one important stakeholder because it's they who actually take the risk. And the third, government, because government gives a financial support in order to subsidize the farmers on the premium that they need to pay on the insurance. So if these are the three important stakeholders, what we needed was that everybody has access to the same data and the same information. Hence, we have developed a PMFBY portal where the farmers who buy the insurance agencies who actually quote the prices of the premium and also pay the premium based on the losses that the farmers experience, and the premium subsidy that government pays, all of us keep uploading our data on the same portal. Naturally, all the three of us have access to the same data, so there's greater credibility. Now, one important any kind of crop insurance is how effectively are we able to assess the crop loss? And India's crop insurance scheme provides for different kinds of losses, including during the production, also during the post-production. At the post-production stage, it gives a latitude of 15 days. That means after the farmer harvests his crop and he's bundled the harvest and kept it on the farm, he's yet to thresh it, but unfortunately not able to thresh because there's sudden rainfall or some hailstorm. He meets a loss. So even that kind of a risk is accounted for in the crop insurance. And at the production stage, of course, that can be lost due to hailstorm, due to excess rain or less rainfall, pest attack, disease attack, all kinds of uh, truancies that nature can play with the farmers and the production system. The short point is how do we now assess the loss in such a way that the farmers feel good, the insurance agencies don't feel that they're paying excess, and the government feels good that the farmers have been compensated. So here, from time immemorial, for hundreds of years, we have had a system of crop cutting experiment. That means physically our revenue department or the land management department officials go to the village, they conduct crop cutting experiment and say, assess the loss vis-a-vis the benchmark yields. This was being done so that the government was able to pay compensation under the relief fund. But now we're talking about the insurance fund, a market-led insurance fund. A crop cutting experiment physically done called for lakhs of samples to be collected. First, it provided opportunity to the people to cheat or manipulate. Second, it was not real time. Third, it was not accurate. So today what we are doing is connecting this portal with remote sensing. See, satellite data enables us to rationalize the number of samples. As you know, A satellite, for example, based on the infrared, near infrared, or the shortwave infrared, is able to give us identify the crop and tell us what is the plant health. Now, whenever it says that the plant health is generally good, there's no need to undertake a crop cutting experiment at the physical level. But when it says that the crop health has been compromised to some extent, then our officials can decide that this is where I need to take up a physical crop cutting experiment. So, from lakhs of crop cutting experiments, when we combine remote sensing possibilities with the agromet data and the location land based systems like automatic weather gauge stations, we are able to rationalize the number of crop cutting experiments and then say instead of 1 lakh, I will maximum have 10,000 crop cutting experiments or 10,000, 20,000. So this reduces the cost of transaction. And then it builds in credibility and the data now gets uploaded immediately to the portal. And that helps in settling the claims of farmers in real time. What would have taken months together can be now done within 2 or 3 days. The short point that I'm trying to communicate to you is one of the major risks to agriculture that comes from weather and climate, etc., can be negotiated when by integrated different technologies. So when we talk about digital technology, we should not be just talking only about internet, only about applications, only about different software, but how do we amalgamate a host of technologies in a meaningful manner so that we are able to do what we want to at the field level. Now, let us take another example. I was telling you that when we have the basic devices and we can build a limited circuit system within a factory, within a building, for example, for automation purpose. But now in linking that particular thing, that means in the Internet of Things, when we are able to connect that system where the machines are able to talk to one another within a closed circuit, now they are able to talk to a closed circuit system elsewhere using the internet, then we are building an Internet of Things. That means now we are moving from basic ICT to an emerging technology like the Internet of Things or a Web of Things, where we are now able to remote control from a distant place. So, how does that help? Let us take three concrete examples in concert with what you want to do. I found that one thing you want to do is to do an efficient water management. Secondly, you want to increase your exports by improving your quality. And third, of course, input management at the farmer's level. So, how does an IoT help in achieving these three things? Let's take a concrete example. As you know, water is one of the most critical inputs, and most farmers we tend to waste a lot of water. So, the flooding system or keeping the tube well open all the time is one of the problems that we see at the field level. Why does this happen? Because the farmer is not sure when the electricity will come, and therefore he keeps his pump on, and then the pump gets switched on when the electricity comes, and it's pumping water continuously. The field has got over flooded, more water is being wasted. This is all a resource wastage. But now think of a situation where you have connected a sensor to the plants of the farm, which is able to measure the turgidity of the plant and therefore says when the plant wants water based on the turgidity factor. And now you have a mobile app which the farmer has at his home. The mobile is able to, whenever the electricity comes, it is able to trigger the pump, and therefore the pump now gets on, and once again the farmer is able to using the remote control switch off the electric pump, and therefore the water flow also comes down. So here we are now connecting the electric pump to the water pump to the mobile application and the sensor. See, different kinds of devices are being connected, and we are able to now save a resource. The same thing if the farmer has gone to a market and he wants to know whether he needs to purchase fertilizer, how much he needs to purchase, or any other device. If he is able to use a sensor which is connected to the mobile application, he is now able to decide what kind of fertilizer, how much of fertilizer, etc. And the third example is that when we need to store our commodities in a cold store because we need to transport outside the country or to a remote place within the country and therefore needs to be kept without compromise of quality, if we are depending on physical systems, then continuously the cold housekeeper has to keep opening the door to measure the temperature and see that what is the temperature, what is the humidity. Each time you open a gate, you are losing energy. And most of the cold house systems are very energy consuming and very costly. But if you have a sensor located there, sensor is able to communicate the changing temperature and humidity requirements, and you are able to manipulate those sitting outside. You are able to save energy. So these are kind of concrete examples that will help us in connecting different kinds of technologies and save resources and improve productivity. Now, what has India done in concrete terms? Where you must have also done, but if or we can keep learning from one another. Now, remote sensing per se, in fact, when the father of our space science, Vikram Sarabhai, started space science research in 1950, he was very clear that India is not interested in high fidelity in space research for the sake of achieving a glory. The space science in India shall be deployed for answering poverty. And agriculture was the first domain that space scientists or the ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, picked up. And right in 1968, they started testing how space science can be deployed for agriculture. And one of the good outcomes of that has been, which has got robust today, is what is called forecasting of the area and production systems, or measuring area and production under different crops. Now, India has got a system where the Ministry of Agriculture and the Indian Space Research Organization have partnered and set up what is called MNCFC. MN stands for Mahalanobis Center. He was a great statistician, one of the first deputy chairman of a planning commission. But more importantly, Mahalanobis crop forecasting system is a part of our ministry in partnership with the Space Department. This has developed a number of technologies and systems and tools. One of them is called FUSSL. And what does FUSSL do? It starts measuring and monitoring the area as soon as the cropping season begins under different crops. And India is now able to give out what is called advanced estimates of area and crop coverage. There are 3 advanced estimates and 1 final estimate over a period of 1 year. What was physical earlier today is supported by this space technology. So it's much more accurate. And going forward from FUSSL, which was mostly from agronomic crops, that means for the food crops, etc., we also wanted for horticulture, fruits and vegetables. And as you know, it's much more complex in case of fruits and vegetables to measure. But then ISRO has now developed what's called a tool called Chaman, which helps us in monitoring the area and production under different horticulture crops. Third, this MNCFC helps India in monitoring the drought. As you know, India is a tropical climate. Monsoon is highly erratic. Many parts of the country suffer from drought. It is all unpredictable. But then the space remote sensing is now able to help us to measure the degree or intensity of drought and therefore quickly respond to the farmers. So these 3 systems, which are universal for the country, are getting more and more robust. The satellite system is supported by Agromet division, that is the Indian Met Department, which has got a very robust system of predicting the weather. Of course, now there are also private players in our country, but IMD is an all umbrella organization which is able to make a long range as well as a short range weather prediction, and it is getting more and more accurate. So using that particular data and also the local systems, the data analytics is what is really helped in predicting not only weather but also the production, productivity, etc. And now we are using way forward this the forecasting system using satellite to also, as I told you, to rationalize the crop cutting experiments for Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. And more importantly, what you must have read in the newspapers and seen in the TV, the crop burning problem, which contributes to the pollution of the atmosphere. In the Indo-Gangetic belt in Uttar Pradesh, Western Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, and Haryana, where paddy is burned to prepare land quickly for the ensuing wheat season in the winter, the satellite is now able to give us actual data on where the burn spots are, how many farmers have, or how many farms have been actually lit fire to burn the paddy after harvest. So what we see is that there are innumerable ways of utilizing this technology for the agriculture sector.